Welcome to the Power of Design podcast, where we have inspiring conversations that explore the intersection of architecture, construction, and real estate, so we can understand the dynamics and trends that shape an exciting and powerful built environment. This is your host, Jack Osa. Today, on the show, I'll be talking to Rob Crane. I met Rob a couple of years ago when I was referred to him to help his architecture firm clarify their brand and develop a brand new website. Rob is the owner and founder of C Design, an award-winning Charlotte-based architectural design firm. During our conversation, we talk about the business of design, growing a team, and leaving your job to start your own firm. This is my interview with Rob Crane. Rob, welcome to the Power of Design podcast. How are you today?
Doing good, thank you.
Rob, in the past 15 years, you have dedicated your life to building a dynamic and successful architecture firm in Charlotte, North Carolina. What is the single most important lesson you have learned during those years?
Wow. I guess depending upon the time of day and what day it is, I'll probably give you a different answer for that question. When it comes right down to it, I think the most important thing is to inspire people and try to treat everybody with respect, and also know that you can learn something from everyone. So those are probably some of the most important things that I've learned in my last 15 years of working at C Design.
Yeah. And I guess when you say inspire people, you're inspiring not only your team, but also your clients, people you work with.
Yes. Our team, our clients, our consultants, the whole group that helps us design a project and run a business. Everybody has something to offer, and helping them find their place in that is something that drives me, and helping them achieve their success is critically important to me. I've had to learn that over the years. It's something that you just I don't think start off with automatically, having that kind of mindset when you start a business. But if you really want it to succeed, you have to first focus on the people in your organization and that help contribute to your organization, that help them succeed. Then you'll be successful.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in a lot of different places. I was born in Clarksburg, West Virginia, lived some of my life there, and then some in Hagerstown, Maryland, where many of my family are from, and then moved to Jamestown, New York, lived there until I was 9, and then Columbus, Indiana. I lived there for 4 years. That's where I became interested in architecture as a young kid. And when I was 13, I moved to Iowa. And I grew up in a small town in Iowa until I went to college at Iowa State for most of my life. Until then, I eventually moved to Charlotte.
Where did you go to architecture school?
I went to Iowa State University, the Cyclones.
Nice. And tell me about your career. You graduate from architecture school. How do you start your professional career?
Well, I think how I got here is kind of funny, to be honest. I was working at the Iowa State Foundation, which was the student-run fundraising organization for the school that raised money for the design programs and also the General University Fund. And I had been working there about 2 years and worked my way up to a call room supervisor. And I was walking the aisles one evening, and I saw a name pop up, architect from Charlotte, North Carolina, by the name of Rick Peterson. And Rick worked at Odell at the time. He was a principal. So I told the caller, let me take this call. And I took the call and talked to Rick and got a $500 donation to the university and also a job interview. Nice. About a month later. So I did a tour of offices and firms across the Southeast and into the Midwest during spring break of my last year at school. And Odell made me the what I thought was the best offer, and also was a place I wanted to live in Charlotte, a growing city, and been here ever since.
Interesting. Yeah, Odell seems to be a very legendary firm. Every time I meet somebody, somehow you can trace their roots back to Odell.
Yeah, usually you can trace the roots back to several different firms, Odell being one of them, or JMP's being another, and there were several other firms in town that were kind of spawned most firms in the area.
Yeah. What type of projects did you work on at that time?
Well, when I first came to Odell, I was assigned to a hospital project in New Orleans. Project was Ochsner Medical Institute. And I was pretty happy about that, being 25 years old, getting to travel to Bourbon Street every few weeks.
Yeah.
That was fun. But it was a 60, maybe 40, $60 million job back then. So it was a good sized project. It had a lot of components. So healthcare was one of the things I worked on. Also worked on some aviation projects while I was at Odell. I did some design work for the Philadelphia Airport, Terminal F, and then also subsequently did some design work for BWI, Terminal F, for that airport also. And then did a lot of small projects in the area for various companies. I helped design a golf club at Rocky River Golf Club, and did several small Piedmont natural gas projects, and just kind of dabbled in everything, or anything and everything that they had. So I got a lot of experience. I learned so much at Odell. Their people were so willing to help and learn from, and many of those relationships I still have today, and some of my best friends and clients and also consultants.
So when did you start thinking about starting your own firm?
I kind of always had the idea that I wanted to own my own business, even as a little kid. I really, wasn't sure how to get there. I was at Odell. I was 32 years old. I just made associate there, but I felt like there was just something I was missing. So I wanted to give it a shot and give it a try, and kind of not necessarily be my own boss. I mean, a lot of architects start their own business to be able to design all their projects. That wasn't my concern. I was happy to let others help design the projects that we had, but it was more about creating something and building something from nothing that really interested me a lot, and being able to do lots of different things, everything from accounting to marketing, to design, to production. All those things I was interested in doing. And in some degree, Odell was giving me that too, but I really felt like I could really see what I can do if this going off on my own, and see where that goes. So I always kind of knew I wanted to do it. My father, who had just retired from Cummins, he was the EVP with that company, and had also run two subsidiaries of theirs, Nelson and Fleetguard, during his career. And he retired young, needed something to do, so he was going to be my sort of accountant, I guess, and helped me, kind of talk me into it to a degree, and said just give it a shot. And I honestly kind of felt like if I did it, I was at a point in my career where I was pretty productive from a production standpoint, and I was pretty marketable from that standpoint to go to another firm if it didn't work out. Many firms in town, even Odell and a couple of others, were helpful in giving me work to begin with, and then once they started seeing me in interviews, that work quickly went away. But they were all very helpful at the beginning, and I think they wanted to keep a close eye on me in case it didn't work out, and they were being helpful to me and giving me a chance to maybe go work for them someday, possibly, if it didn't work out. But obviously it worked out so far, and the rest is history, I guess.
Interesting. What were some of the first projects you started with?
Some of the first projects. Well, we first started on a project for the airport. It was a renovation to the vehicle maintenance facility. that they had. They had bought an old Bilo warehouse and converted that into warehouse and offices for the airport, and it had a vehicle maintenance component to it. So we renovated that. Another project we did, Piedmont Natural Gas had just recently bought North Carolina Natural Gas, and they had a ops center in Wilmington that needed renovation, and that was about $1 million job. So that was one of the other first projects. And then I did a lot of little small things here and there. Got on the open end contract with UNC Charlotte, did some things with them, and just various other small jobs that people had. I'd do basically anything, as long as it paid the bills and was something that would help build, our portfolio to a degree.
Sure. Tell me about Citisign today.
Today, well, it's definitely different than it was even, I'll say, 5 years ago. There's been a lot of change over the years in our firm. Today, we are 23 people, I believe, with 4 people in our workplace group, an office business manager, a marketing coordinator, a admin and front desk receptionist, and those are all new things. Our architects, we have probably 10 or 12 licensed architects in our firm. One architect that works with us is a fellow in the AIA. We've been very fortunate to get and keep, the best people that I think, frankly, in the area. We have an outstanding group of people in our firm. They all care, a tremendous amount about what they do and about the firm and about their clients. And it's just really a privilege every day to work with them. We've recently renovated and expanded our office, which gave us a whole new look. It's a space that really fits our culture. We were fortunate enough to win a IIDA Carolinas chapter award for I think small office design. We love our space. We love our location. We're in the Boxer building on Moorhead Street, right by the stadium. And it's just, our practice has evolved, and it's taken on kind of a life of its own, for sure. We are designing projects of upwards of $150 million in construction, and still projects as small as $500,000 in construction. And we enjoy every one of them. So it's been a very fortunate last, I'd say, 5 to 6 years for our firm. There's been a lot of growth.
What do you think sets Citisign apart from other architecture firms?
Well, like I said it before, I truly believe this. It's our people. I think we have exceptional people. We give them all the resources they need. They get exceptional training. They have exceptional technology to work with. When you take care of them, they'll take care of you.
Yeah.
And I think that's been, that's taken a while to learn, as a leader. But I think that it's, that's what sets us apart.
Yep.
is how much they care and what they do and their talent. We
Sure.
have some talented folks in our firm.
Sure. And, we know that for any business, people is a huge part of that. But also there are some other components, strategy, marketing, the overall approach to the business. Tell me a little bit more about that. I had experience that we have worked together on some things, and I'm always very impressed by how organized you guys are and the clarity that you have on the business, how you want to approach things. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, from a strategic planning perspective, we still meet twice a year to go over our strategic plan, and we give a lot of thought into everything we do. But we have, I would say, 4 to 5 main objectives, and everything we do tries to meet those objectives. And every decision we make, every person we hire, it's all about reaching those goals and meeting those objectives that we set out in our strategic plan. Philosophically, we're a very organized business. We're detail oriented. We've always been that way. It's just we feel that if you keep things in the right place and kind of have a good organizational structure to everything in your firm, in your business, it just makes life so much easier and so much more efficient, where you can spend more time with your clients and more time with your people to do things that are productive for the business, yeah, and not counterproductive. Sure. So being organized and starting out, I think one of the things I did that was smart was one of the few things. No, but one of the things I did that was smart was I started off with the idea that this could be bigger than just a one-person firm. So I tried to organize it that way in everything we did. So we started acting like we were a larger firm before we ever became that. I thought if you all of a sudden become large and then you got to act large, that could be problematic. Yeah. And you could be constantly behind the 8 ball of trying to catch up. But for instance, we've had an employee manual of some sort since we were 3 or 4 people. We've had an organizational chart of some sort since then too. So all those things helped us kind of grow and know who we are and what we do.
We'll be right back with more from the Power of Design podcast.
The Power of Design podcast is brought to you by OSA Studio, a multidisciplinary design firm focused on creating impactful experiences through the power of design. We partner with our clients to create buildings, interior spaces, brands, and strategies that help you deliver a successful project. As a minority-owned firm, we are committed to building a diverse platform of curious and driven design professionals so we can together pursue our full potential. For more information, please visit us at www.osastudio.com.
What do you expect C-Design to become in the next 10 years?
We hope to be doing more of the kinds of projects that we want to do, and those projects are projects that really help our community and set Charlotte apart in the Charlotte area apart from others. So whether it's airport work or municipal work and those kind of things, we really want to do projects that help Charlotte grow and help this be a better place to live. So doing that, we have goals about the size of those projects, and we often say that we want to be big enough from an employee perspective that we can do about any project that ever comes our way from a size standpoint. We don't have goals about being 50 people or 60 people. We just want to be able to do the kind of work that energizes us, helps our community, and is sizable enough that we're sized to be able to do it. That's our goal. And there'll still be always teaming situations where we team with other firms, whether they're experts in one particular aspect of design globally, or there's a teaming relationship that makes sense where we can help each other. That happens still, but we would like to be able to do about any job with the staff that we have.
What do you think is the biggest challenge your clients are facing today?
Well, it depends on the client, but I think you could pinpoint recruitment and retention. But retention's a big one. There's a lot of turnover in today's work world, so I think that's a challenge for our clients and for business in general. I think the other challenge that they're facing is growth. I think in really Charlotte, if you look at Charlotte, the amount of growth we've had, whether it's the airport or UNC Charlotte or Queens or CPCC or any of these institutions in the area and private companies that are growing, growth is really difficult to manage. Some mentors of mine have always said that downsizing is really not hard logistically. It's hard emotionally, but not hard logistically. But growth is very difficult logistically, and being able to manage that growth and handle it and still produce a superior product or provide a superior service, growth is really difficult. So I think that's been affecting a lot of our clients. Particularly the airport, the amount of growth they've had over the last decade is incredible, and that's and that's difficult to manage. They have to create new infrastructure and create new office environments even, and it's just a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's probably the biggest challenge.
Yeah. I've seen how looks like some entities, government or even private, that moving toward like a more design build model. Maybe they see that as a way to just accelerate the process of designing and delivering projects. What do you think is the future of the design and construction industry?
Wow. Well, I think I think technology is becoming more and more integrated into our profession. And just when you think it can't get any more part of what we do, it takes another step forward. I think we're just touching the surface on how design communication is done, whether it's through drawings, video, verbal, whatever it may be, how that communication happens. Technology is changing that, very quickly. So I think going forward, that communication with the contractor and how something gets built and designed is really, it's like the wild, wild west when it comes to contracts, liability, and those kind of things on a design project. There used to be very clear lines that separated what we do and what the contractor does and what the client's responsible for. Technology is making things more efficient, but it's also, in some cases, blurring those lines. And that's put a challenge on how contracts are written, on how responsibilities are handled. So that's going to continue to get more complex as we become more and more integrated into a team format with the contractor, the owner, the consultants, and the architect. Design build is thrown out there a lot. I think not everybody always knows what they mean when they say design build, but I think what they're really trying to say is the project's designed and built in a collaborative environment from start to finish. It doesn't necessarily mean that a contractor has to hold all the contracts from the design team. And of course, now that's the traditional definition of what design build means, but I think really you begin to look at how things are going to move. Integrated project delivery is going to become more and more prevalent, and even the production of things and how they're done is going to become more integrated with our profession and what we're designing and drawing.
Yeah,
almost real time. So that's going to change going forward. Mobility is going to change for the office environment. I think more and more people are going to be able to work in various locations and not be in one office going forward. Although I will say that in architecture, unlike many professions, I feel the face-to-face communication is critical in the coordination process of what we do.
Right.
So I think there'll always be that component to our profession. But it will become more and more mobile, and I think that'll offer more flexibility for people too, and how they live their lives.
Yeah. What it's a project or project type that you would like to be part of, like your dream project?
What's my dream project or a project type? I love projects that just impact people. So an airport's a great example. The project we did at Charlotte Douglas, or the projects we've done there, they impact a lot of people. So I like projects that I'll get a phone call from a friend of mine I hadn't seen in 10 years and say, hey, I went through the new airport renovation you did. It's fantastic. That's what drives me, is making people happy and changing people's lives in that way. Other projects out there that do the same thing are all, kind of public type projects that, whether it's a theater or an arena or whatever it may be. Those are fun projects that I like to work on. Where the public gets together and lots of people use the facility. Those drive me.
Rob, how would you describe the culture at C-Design?
Well, I think one thing about us that I really love is the fact that everybody really truly enjoys working with each other. We do a lot of things as a group together, outside of the office. You know, we take care of each other. I saw just the other day on an Instagram post from one of our people. They were replacing their roof, and there were several C designers over there helping them replace the roof of his house. And I thought that was just really cool. And I think that's kind of what separates us. I mean, I don't want to say it's a family, but you know, we're all very close. We spend a lot of time together, so we try to recruit people that, you know, would enjoy being around each other for the most part. And we're not all the same. We all have different interests, but I just feel like we just really all get along really well. And that's, you know, as we grow, that's been one of, I think, our biggest accomplishments. To still maintain that. We tend to, like I said, do lots of things as a group outside the office, whether it's going to the Whitewater Center or all one day going to a movie, whatever it may be. we try to have a lot of fun, but we work hard too. So it's it's an environment where, you know, a lot's expected, but you're rewarded for it, and we have a really good time doing it. It's been a lot of fun.
Sure, yeah, and you know that's very important where you're dealing with, you know, other people day-to-day basis, working on projects. There are always things that happen. Somebody doesn't like anything, or somebody wants to do things a different way. You know, you need to have a good relationship to solve conflicts, to, you know, agree on the goal and keep moving. That's always very valuable for you know, any organization.
Well, as they say, you gotta sometimes break some eggs to make an omelet.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. You know, in our office, you know, we have challenging discussions, but you know, we've never really had anybody get too upset at any one thing. We all have a common objective in mind, and that's to make the best possible project for our client and the users.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's been pretty successful in that regard for us internally. It's been a pretty good culture to work in.
Yeah. What are other passions you have outside of architecture?
Well, it's varied over the years. I would say that a lot of my life was focused on sports. Growing up, I played basketball and football and baseball and ran track. I also like to hunt and fish and those kind of things. And as I've grown older, I've, you know, still stay involved in those kind of things. I used to love coaching Little League baseball and basketball. So now I enjoy watching my son play Little League baseball and my daughter play basketball, and they've kind of outpaced my coaching ability in that regard as they've gotten a little older. But I've really enjoyed sports in my life, and that's been a big part of who I am. I've also enjoyed doing a lot of nonprofit work. I've spent a large chunk of my career working for Camp Thunderbird of the YMCA up at Lake Wiley. Also I've done some things with the Blumenthal Performing Arts Center and various other organizations. I'm now currently getting involved with Arts Plus, and I find that doing those kind of things are very rewarding for me, as helping people. I just enjoy that. It's a lot of fun, and I get a lot of satisfaction out of doing that. So nonprofit work, outdoor sports, those things are some of the things I really enjoy. I really enjoy just spending time with my family. That's something that's important to me. We have a big family, and we all we're still very close, cousins and everybody, and that's also enjoyable to me.
Well, Rob, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate your willingness to sit down with me and talk. Also want to take the opportunity to thank you for your friendship and all your advice and mentorship that you've been giving me in these couple of years since I started my business. You have added tremendous value to, all the things that I've been trying to do, and I always come to you with questions, and you're always very gracious and generous to help me with that.
Well, I'm, very thankful that you had me talk some today, and it's been great working with you, and excited to see how your business grows. And thank you for having me.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you for listening to the Power of Design podcast. Remember to rate and review on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Find out more about Jack and Osa Studio at osastudio.com and follow us on Instagram at The Power of Design Podcast. Thank you.